Well, it's an afternoon after work and time to inoculate some mushroom logs. Yesterday I had these, I started the soak for these yesterday afternoon. After I mowed the lawn, I hitched up the trailer and loaded the logs. There's 20 logs in there, which is just like slightly less than optimal for a bag of spawn. I can typically get about like 25, but 20 is what fits in there and what soaks nicely. Yeah, so I've got all my tools over here in a cooler. I'll pull them out and use them. I'm just gonna do a little video from start to, well, not start to finish, because eventually I want to use my phone to like put on my headphones and listen to some music. But just to see the process, every little thing from let's get going. So I've got everything kind of like set up and ready to go. First thing is, I could pull all of these out one by one, but if I can get some of the water, some of the weight off of the trailer, I'll do that. I'm literally just gonna see if this makes sense to do or not. So, the trailer itself is really heavy. When I kicked the release on this and gave it a little push up, it automatically wanted to just like dump its whole self out, but these logs are floating in that water. So if I were to just like let go of it, the logs would just fly right out. So I'm just trying to get some of the weight out of it by using my own weight. I may eventually just get sick of holding this and just dump the whole thing. Yeah, we're at that point. So, all right, no big deal. There you go. Got it latched again. So the ones that are still on the ground, those will be the first ones I drill out. Alright, well, first set of tools. Just go over everything as I pull them out. Yeah, I got some gloves. Why not? Don't need them, but I'll use them. I have a little container that I'll put my spawn in a bit when we really need it. I've got plugs, these like styrofoam caps that I use with my Inoculating inoculator. Got some safety glasses. My drill, the drill bit. I've got like other videos on like some details of this, and the class that I teach also has the details of this. This is so that you get like the gross motor part of everything. How does everything like really come together? Bag of spawn, which I'll deal with in a bit. Some scissors and my inoculator. We'll get there. But that's everything. That plus an extension cord. So really it just comes down to starting the drilling. So this is where, like, if I'd care to, I'd speed up the process. just unplug it for now. All right, so you get some covered in like little wood chips and stuff. For the purposes of math here, we got 5 logs. However long that took, that's how long it took to drill out 5 logs. And then it's multiplication from here. So let's see how long it takes to inoculate those 5 logs. So the bag of spawn, it's pretty solid right now. So just like the, whoa. Let's see. Just like to break it up. Oh, and so it split right there when I gave the push. That means now that's the top of my bag. And I don't need the scissors anymore. So I'm just trying to fluff it up and get it back to like a sawdust state. Yeah, that rarely happens. But so this little inoculator, let's see, it's got a little weight on the inside that holds down a strip of these little styrofoam caps. So every time I push some spawn into one of these holes, it also ends up having like a little cap that goes over the edge, so that we don't have to like use wax or anything with this. Yeah, and what is it? I just put a little piece of like this is like a little bit of like, I don't know, yarn or whatever that I just kind of use at the end, so that if I put the tool down, that little weight doesn't fall out. Again, like with the class that I teach, we go over all the basics for this, so all the details that we'd care about. So the details of this, like, look at my body. I'm realizing that, like, when I built this little platform last year, I built it kind of too low for myself. It's no big deal, but like, look at my back. I'm like hunched over. I'd want to be doing this like at this level, but this is like a little too low for me to reach there. Whatever. This is my like smaller setup for doing smaller batches of logs. So it's not set up for, you know, because I'm only soaking a few logs at a time anyway. I'm not set up to do this for hours. It's already kind of uncomfortable though. So I think part of this, you know, there is a little bit of like listening to your body. That one's done. I'm also feeling that like my hand is starting to hurt here where the tool kind of rubs against my hand. So it's a natural thing of like, well, one hand is gonna have a glove on, that's all. All right, and this goes back in the wagon so that I can just tow it all to its final spot. All right, let's pick up the pace. Now I've also increased the speed on this by having a second person also have an inoculator and just go through and they're filling the holes, but they have like one of these fancy ones that caps it as well. And then my job is to fill all the other ones, but then also help with the capping. Now, if I suspected, or even knew, if I knew that these logs had poison ivy on them previously, this would be a whole different operation. I'd really be like watching my contacts with these. What I definitely love about this inoculator is just the speed and how I can do this whole job on my own. I also love the fact that I don't have to like heat up wax. I talked to Field and Forest, who I sent them a message about offering these caps just as like without the tool, because even just taking the caps off and putting them on the holes like by hand, that's like a brilliant idea. I had a 14-year-old, you know, a middle schooler take one of my classes, and you know at the end she's like, hey, you know, like couldn't you just like do this by hand without the special tool? I was like, that's brilliant. And so then I ended up like trying it, and it's like, yeah, we can do it without this like $400 tool. This does it all in one, and all in one stroke. So I talked to, you know, I sent Field and Forest, that mushroom growing company, the idea of like, why don't you, you know, instead of selling wax for a lot of these small batches, because then you got a tool up for working with wax, and that's a pain in the butt. Why not just sell like little packs of these, like little plugs? And they got back to me and said that they're gonna start offering it. Haven't seen it yet, but you know, it's a good idea. keep saying plugs, but I mean caps. These little styrofoam caps. Almost done. It's a lot of the same. Repetition. All right, that's 5 logs. So I did some talking along the way. So where are we on time? Like 19 minutes. All right, so, you know, I tell folks that take my class that, like, on average, I do about like 20 logs an hour, and if you kind of like look at the math on that, well, yeah, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20. It's gonna take 4 batches, and I definitely can do this in like 15 minutes or less. It's just like in a video like this, you're definitely talking through a lot of stuff. All right, that's it. That's all the tools. Then these go to their like little resting place on top of pallets. Yeah. Take care.